Some people don't marry for love. And the strangest part is, they know it. They walk down the aisle, smile for the photos, say the vows, all while feeling something quietly missing. Not loud enough to stop the wedding, not painful enough to run away, just empty enough to ignore. And if you've ever wondered why someone would choose a lifetime with a person they don't truly love, the answer isn't simple, because it's not about love, it's about psychology. We grow up being told that love is the foundation of marriage, that you're supposed to feel something undeniable, something deep, something real. But in reality, many people don't follow that script. Some choose stability over passion. Some choose comfort over connection. And some don't even realize what love is supposed to feel like in the first place. Because for many people, love isn't something they learned correctly. It's something they adapted to. Imagine someone who grew up in a household where love was inconsistent. One day, it was there, the next day it disappeared. Affection came with conditions. Approval had to be earned. So their brain learned something important, but also dangerous. Love equals uncertainty. Love equals risk. Love equals pain. Now fast forward to adulthood. They meet someone who is stable, predictable, safe. Someone who won't leave, won't create chaos, won't make them feel that emotional roller coaster they once associated with love. And instead of asking, "Do I love this person?" their brain asks something else. Can I build a life with them without getting hurt? And that question changes everything. Because safety starts to feel more important than connection. They choose someone who feels calm, not someone who makes them feel alive. And from the outside, it looks like a smart decision. The relationship is stable. There's no drama, no chaos, no emotional extremes. But inside, something is missing, and they feel it, quietly, in moments when they're alone. In conversations that feel surface level, in the absence of emotional depth. But they push it away. Because stability feels safer than the unknown. There's another layer to this. Some people don't marry for love because they don't trust their own emotions. Maybe they've been hurt before. Maybe they loved deeply once, and it ended badly. So now they associate strong feelings with loss. Intensity becomes a warning sign, and when they meet someone who doesn't trigger those intense emotions, they mistake that absence for peace. They say things like, "This feels healthy," "This feels right." But what they're really feeling is a lack of emotional risk. And while that can create a stable relationship, it can also create emotional distance. Because love isn't just about stability, it's about connection. And connection requires vulnerability. But vulnerability feels dangerous to someone who has been hurt before, so they avoid it. They choose someone who doesn't require them to open up too much. Someone who fits into their life, instead of someone who changes it. And slowly, without realizing it, they build a relationship that works, but doesn't feel. There's also a social layer that people don't talk about enough. Pressure, time, expectations. At a certain point in life, especially in certain cultures or environments, being single starts to feel like falling behind. Friends are getting married. Families are asking questions. Society starts sending a message. You should have figured this out by now. And when that pressure builds, people start making decisions differently. They stop asking, "Is this the right person for me?" and start asking, "Is this good enough?" Because good enough feels safer than being alone. So they choose someone who meets the criteria. Someone kind, responsible, compatible on paper, and they convince themselves that love will grow later. And sometimes, it does. But sometimes, it doesn't. And that's where the internal conflict begins. Because now, they're in a commitment, a life, a shared reality. But something inside them knows this isn't what they imagined love would feel like. And yet, leaving feels impossible. Because they didn't just choose a person, they built a life. And walking away from that feels heavier than staying. So they stay. and they adapt. They shift their expectations. They focus on the positives. They tell themselves that love isn't supposed to be intense, that real relationships are about partnership, not passion. And in many ways, that's true. But there's a difference between stable love and the absence of love. And deep down, they can feel that difference, even if they don't say it out loud. There's another psychological pattern that plays a role here. Some people don't marry for love because they don't feel worthy of it. They might have grown up feeling not good enough, not chosen, not valued. So when someone stable comes into their life and chooses them, that feels like enough. Not because it fulfills them, but because it validates them. I should be grateful. At least someone wants me. And that mindset creates a quiet compromise. They settle, not because they don't want love, but because they don't believe they deserve more. And over time, that belief shapes their entire relationship. They don't ask for deeper connection. They don't express unmet needs. They don't challenge the emotional gap. Because doing so would require believing they deserve something better. And that belief was never built. But here's the most subtle and perhaps the most unsettling reason. Some people don't marry for love because they don't recognize love when they feel it. If you've never experienced safe, consistent, emotionally available love growing up, then your brain doesn't have a reference point. You might mistake calm for boredom. You might mistake emotional availability for lack of excitement. You might be drawn to people who recreate familiar patterns, even if those patterns are unhealthy. And when a healthy, loving relationship appears, it doesn't feel intense enough. So you overlook it, and instead you choose something that feels familiar, even if it's emotionally empty. Because familiarity feels like truth, even when it isn't. And all of this leads to one quiet reality. Many people don't marry the person they love the most. They marry the person who feels safest, most acceptable, or most aligned with their internal patterns. And those patterns were built long before the relationship began. But here's the part that matters. This isn't about judging those choices. It's about understanding them. Because every decision like this comes from somewhere, from past experiences, from learned beliefs, from emotional survival strategies, and recognizing that is the first step towards something deeper. Because just because someone didn't marry for love doesn't mean they're incapable of love. It means they've learned to prioritize something else. Safety, stability, acceptance, control, but awareness changes things. Because once you understand why you choose the way you choose, you gain the ability to choose differently, to question your patterns, to ask yourself uncomfortable questions. Am I choosing this because it feels right or because it feels safe? Do I feel connected or just comfortable? Am I avoiding something or building something real? And those questions don't always have easy answers, but they open the door to something honest. Because at the end of the day, love isn't just about who you choose. It's about why you choose them. And if this made you pause for a second, if it made you reflect on your own patterns, your own choices, your own relationships, then maybe you're already starting to see something most people never question. And if you want more conversations like this, the kind that help you understand yourself a little deeper, you might want to stay around.